Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to day 45 of our F125 Wet Hotlap and Setup series. Yesterday we returned here at the Marina Bay Street circuit for the Singapore Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live a couple of days ago from Baku, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. But of course, Singapore, one of the toughest circuits on the F1 calendar, and especially obviously now we've seen a couple of wet races here IRL. When it does rain, this place can really deliver some fascinating racing, some unpredictable racing as well. It seems to be a track that more often than not, kind of a dominant team really underperforms around this venue as well. So yeah, this place is really good fun. Absolutely fantastic as well when you nail it inside the F1 game, but getting those laps hooked up is no easy feat. Of course, if you're new to this series and don't know what this is about, I basically I provide you with a race-ready wet setup inside F125. I talk you around the circuit, where you want to be aiming for your braking points, what gears you want to be using, and anything else you need to know about the track as well. So of course, as always, if that sounds good to you, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. At the time of recording, we are mighty close to 14,000 subscribers on the channel, and a massive thank you to everybody that is still watching and enjoying these. As always, timestamps will be linked down below if you just want to head to a certain part of the video as well. But yeah, Singapore, high downforce, high commitment, but just try and keep it out the walls. While making our way then through the final corners, getting ready to start a lap then here of the Singapore Grand Prix circuit. You want to be up in 5th gear, a big blend of throttle low as we make our way through the final turn. Of course, in race trim, in dry conditions, it's near enough flat out through there. In the wet, absolutely not. 7th gear, really try and get the car over the white line on the way in towards turn 1. You want to be aiming just for the 100-meter board as you try and get the car slowed down. Really try to attack the inside curbing all the way down into 3rd gear there. Try to get the car wedged over that first curb, and then also the same through the second one. Now, this orange sausage curb looks a lot more aggressive than it actually is. It doesn't end up doing much to the car whatsoever, but leave it in 3rd gear as we make our way in towards turn 3 there. Hug the apex, but don't be afraid to get on the throttle nice and early on the exit, but you can only go full throttle, as always, once you're up to 4th gear and you've got the car nice and straight. As we make our way down in towards turn 4, though, I like to aim for the 50-meter board. It's a really tricky line in towards this next corner. Go all the way to 5th gear there, but really aim for that outside curb on the exit of the turn there. Down to 3rd once again. Try to get the inside wheel wedged over the inside of this next corner, and then as we make our way out to the Raffles Boulevard, get as close to the wall as you can and try to carry the speed down this next back straight. Then you're going to be all the way up into 7th gear. This corner, never going to have the brake around here unless you've got no wing and a 4 wide or something like that. But then again, you want to be preparing yourself for the 100-meter board in towards Sector 2 then. Nice and tidy on the brakes again. You want to bring it all the way down to 3rd gear. Avoid taking too much of the inside curb. It just throws the car out, and try to get the car nicely wedged over the exit curb as we go for a short blast up at a 4th, and then just before the black box, you want to bring it down into 2nd gear then as well. Nice and tidy on the brakes. Avoid the inside curb once again. Allow the car to run nice and wide through the first part, and then you're going to be up in 3rd gear there. Again, use the track width, braking just as you go past the black box once more. Leave the car in 3rd gear. Avoid attacking too much of the inside curb, and then just be very careful of that wall on the outside there. The circuit does open up slightly, but you want to bring the car slightly over to the left-hand side. Just as you can see, there's a couple of little bits in the wall that could really catch you out otherwise. 6th gear then, by the time we get down into what used to be the Singapore Sling, braking just before the 50-meter board, you want to go down to 4th gear, really try and get the car over that curve on the inside. Keep the steering nice and consistent, and then just as you go past that wall, bring it down to 3rd gear, attack this next curb as best as you can, really throw the car over it, but be careful of understeer on the exit. Avoid that inside curb. I like to leave it in 3rd gear as we make our way over the Anderson Bridge, and as you try and get the car straightened up, be very careful, because that wall will quite happily rip a wheel off if it gets a chance to. Second gear then, as we head in towards the hairpin, try again to go for quite a late apex, but get the car nice and straight early on the exit before you short shift up through third and fourth gear once again. You can pretty much hold the car in a straight line though, as we make our way down this next short blast, as you slowly arc back over to the left-hand side there. Braking once again, just past the 100-meter board. From 6th or 7th gear, you want to bring it all the way down to 3rd once again. Avoid the inside curb at all cost, and then really open up the track width there. Got to be careful though, don't allow the car to run outside the white line, otherwise you will get done for track limits. Down, of course, this new reprofiled final sector. Of course, we used to have to go through that horrible double chicane. Not anymore, luckily. But just one big braking zone left to go. Then 7th gear, eye up the 100-meter board. Nice and tidy on the brakes on the way in. These final couple of corners, you want to be in 3rd gear. Attack the curb through the first one nice and tidily. Try and get the car over the second one as well. But be very, very careful on the exit there, because that wall on the outside will catch you out. Back up into 5th gear though, as we make our way down in towards the final corner of the lap. A little dab of the brake, get the weight over the front, get the nose pointed down, and then through the final corner. Try and get on the throttle as early as you can. If you're right at the end of a qualifying session, you can absolutely boot the throttle through that final corner. Maybe spin out, but hopefully you'll get a good lap time nonetheless. And there we go, that's going to be a lap of the Singapore Grand Prix circuit. Like I said, this one, really, really satisfying when you get it hooked up, but so difficult to do so. Luckily, the AI are pretty terrible here inside F125, so even in the rain, you might stand a chance. Well, back in the pit lane then, taking a look at the setup figures. Of course, you run maxed out wing here in the dry conditions, so that remains exactly the same in the wet. 50-49, as always, you always want to run slightly less rear aero than front on this game, just to make the car a little less understeery. 100 on the locked on-throttle differential there, 25% on the off-throttle. Again, this circuit is a lot of traction zones, so you've got to be really, really careful, but very, very easy to lock the brakes on entry to corners as well. So that's why we're running quite an extreme setup around here. -3.5, -2.0, 0.01 and 0.12 for your camber and your toe angles. Fairly standard for this game. Again, tyre wear isn't much of a concern around this circuit, especially in the wet, so you can afford to run some really aggressive presets. 35.5 for your front and rear suspension, 12.18 for your anti-roll bars. That is very, very firm. And then 24.50 ride height. Again, a lot of people run slightly lower ride height, but there are a couple of lethal curbs around this venue that will quite happily throw the car up and spit you out into a wall. So I like to run just a little bit high so you can mount those curbs a little bit tidier and hopefully be able to carry some speed off of the corners. 55.97 for your brake bias and pressure. Again, this is a circuit where I'd run slightly less brake pressure to avoid locking up, because if the back end steps out, there's no room for error. So because of that, I've moved the brake bias slightly further forward to give myself a better chance on the brakes as well. 23.5 psis on the fronts, 21.4 on the rears. Again, this isn't a circuit where kind of one side gets a lot more worn than the other, despite the fact, obviously, this track is almost a figure of 8. It could well be a figure of 8, obviously, if they just change the layout slightly. So yeah, it does kind of allow you to stress out all 4 tyres actually pretty evenly around this circuit as well there. But there we go then. That is going to be our setup and track guide here for the Singapore Grand Prix. A massive thank you to all of you for the continued support on these videos. Like I said in the intro, if they're helping out, leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon as Formula 1 returns to the Circuit of the Americas. For now though, I'm going to leave you guys with a hot lap.